Hello my dear students and welcome back to Zenith Academy Online. My name is Fatima Vora and today we are going to cover an important poem of 10th standard ICSE board 9 gold medals by David Roth. Let's see something about the poet and the poem. David Roth is an American rock vocalist, songwriter, author and radio personality. Vocalist means a person who gives his voice. He is the lead singer of the famous hard rock band Van Halen and also a successful soloist. Soloist means that he also sings in solo, not in groups, but he performs singly also. Through this poem, the poet stresses on importance of caring for others rather than just winning and achieving. He celebrates human values such as compassion, kindness, cooperation, collaboration, empathy and respect. The world today needs these values the most. Today, as we are progressing in terms of industrialization, technology wise, and we are so much engrossed in our own success that we have forgotten all these values. Today, we are going to focus on these values through the medium of this poem, 9 Gold Medals. Let's read the poem line by line and understand the meaning. Stanza 1. The athletes had come from so many countries. Now, this poem, 9 Gold Medals, is based on an event of the Olympics. It is based on a special Olympics event, and that is why it is talking about athletes. Athletes are the participants that have come from so many different countries to participate in the Olympics. To run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. Here, gold, silver and bronze are not the metals but the medals which would be awarded to the winners of the events as per the program. Many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. All the participants, all the athletes, all the young women and men had trained themselves to achieve success and win gold, silver and bronze medals in this Olympics. Now, the poem also describes an imaginary. This is the verbal imaginary that we are trying to imagine the particular scenario. The poet gives us a complete idea. The entire poem, when we complete, you will understand that it is in a form of a story, how the actual event took place. Let's move ahead. Stanza 2. All round the field, spectators were gathered. Spectators are the people, the audience who has come to witness the event. Cheering all the young women and men. Now these spectators, the audience, are continuously cheering for the young men and women who are participating in the event. Then the final event of the day was approaching. The last race was about to begin. Now, in this sentence, we come to know that the entire event of Olympics was approaching to its climax. It is coming to an end as it says that the last race was about to begin. This is the last race of the entire Olympic. Also, this event of running race is the last event of that particular day also. So, this again gives us a visual imaginary. We imagine that there are so many spectators, so many people cheering for the athletes. Let's move ahead. Stanza 3. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners. Here the poet is trying to give us the imagination through words. We can hear those loudspeakers actually speaking and calling out the names of the runners. The 100 meters, the race to be run. Now the loudspeakers, the announcers had announced the names of the athletes or the participants who were going to participate in the last event of the day, and it was 100 meters race, the last event of the entire Olympics. And 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. Now in the last event of the day, that is the running race, 100 meters running race, the number of participants is 9. These are 9 young athletes. And poised for the sound of the gun. Poised means as soon as the gun will be blown, the pistol will be blown, they will start running. So poised is taking the position. the particular position that the athletes take before the onset of the race. Let's move ahead. Stanza 4. The signal was given, the pistol exploded. Now, you just see, as we are progressing towards the paragraph one by one, we are actually getting the feel, the excitement of how a spectator's excitement is in the field, in the Olympics. We are given, the poet has given as an account of how the events are taking place one by one. The athletes getting ready, taking their positions, the pistol blowed, everything seems so real as if happening in front of us. The signal was given, the pistol exploded. Now exploded is the sound that comes out when the pistol is blown. And so did the runners on hearing the sound. So did the runners means the runners are compared to the pistol. Like how pistol explodes, the runners also exploded, means gave out full energy on the onset of the race and they started running. But the youngest amongst them stumbled and staggered. Now there were 9 runners as we saw in the paragraph earlier. So one of the youngest runner amongst them, he stumbled and staggered, means he fell down. He couldn't run as fast as they were and he stumbled on the ground. He fell down and fell on his knees to the ground. The position, we can actually imagine the athlete falling down while running. He was on his knees on the ground. Let's move ahead to the next stanza. He gave out a cry in frustration and anguish. You don't actually cry, but you just give out the loud sound of what has happened. Frustration and anguish. Anguish is also anger. You feel angry on yourself that after so many months of training also you couldn't even make it up. His dreams and his efforts all dashed in the dirt. Dashed means mixed. Now instead of the word ground, here the poet is used the word dirt, because you see dirt are small particles. When you mix something into dirt, it's very difficult to separate that from dirt. So all his dreams, this was the chance of for him to achieve something, and on the very beginning of the road to success, all his dreams are now dashed, mixed in the dirt. But as sure as I am standing here telling this story, now the conjunction but tells us that there is something else happening over here. But there is a possibility of something else happening. Also, as sure as I am standing, I am means the poet himself is the spectator of this event. He is one standing and cheering out for all these athletes. Now it's a strange one, but here's what occurred. So what this poet is trying to tell us, that something that I am going to tell you now is very strange, but it has actually occurred and I have witnessed it. That is what we understand from the word I am standing here. This is an event, a story which the poet is trying to convey to us. Let's move ahead. Stanza 6. The 8 other athletes stopped in their tracks. Now the strange twist which the poet wanted to convey is what? That when the youngest amongst them fell down on his knees, what the other athletes did? They did not continue the race. They did not run ahead to achieve success. They stopped in the tracks. The ones who had trained for so long to compete, here they are not present to show sympathy to each other. They were here from different parts of the world to compete with each other. They wanted success. All of them were running for the gold, silver and bronze. But what did they do? They stopped in their tracks. One by one they turned round and came back to help him. Him is the boy, youngest one, who had fallen down. All the 8 other athletes, they one by one turned around and came back to the one fallen down to help him and lifted the young lad to his feet. Lad is boy, young boy. What they did, all the 8 athletes together, they helped the young boy and lifted him so that he can stand on his own feet. Since this is a Special Olympics, all the athletes over here are special athletes. some or the other disability they might be having, but this event is carried on all over the world just to build and boost confidence in them, so that they do not feel that they are something different from other normal human beings. Stanza 7. Then all the 9 runners joined hands and continued. Now, instead of running towards the finish line after lifting the young lad, what they did is, they did not run to get success or achieve gold, silver or bronze medal. They held each other's hand and started walking towards the finish line. So this race was no more a race. The event had changed, and the entire scenario of the event had changed. The 100 meters reduced to a walk. Now this statement or this sentence speaks a lot. The race was no more a race. The 100 meters was now reduced to a walk. When you are walking alone or running alone, even a small distance seems a lot. But when you are with a group of people who give you energy, who give you inspiration, encourage you, then the longer the distance it is, but it reduces to a small walk. This is what is the poet is trying to say over here. And a banner above that said Special Olympics. As we discussed before, this event was a Special Olympics set to encourage all the differently abled people around the world. But the banner said Special Olympics above, and all the 9 athletes were walking hand in hand. Could not have been nearer the mark. Now, could not have been nearer the mark means this Special Olympics was described by this event, that the Olympics, the entire format of the Olympics had changed because of the mindset of these 9 young athletes. They actually described it by doing it. They showed what actually Special Olympics mean, and this could not have been more nearer the mark. So it was a Special Olympics, but what these young athletes did, they actually showed what the Special Olympics mean, and the entire meaning of this event was conveyed by that gesture. Stanza 8. That's how the race ended, with 9 gold medals. They came to the finish line holding hands still. Now, after the 8 other athletes helped the young lad who was fallen down, they didn't leave him alone like that. They all walked hand in hand, as we saw in the previous para, and they were holding hands until the finish line. So this gesture was something unusual. The action what they did was something unusual and never happens in a competition. So all the 9 participants were awarded gold medals, and they all were declared winners. And the banner above and 9 smiling faces said more than these words ever will, said more than these words ever will. Now firstly, the sentence is repeated to create an emphasis, to create the effect of what the poet wants to convey. And what the poet wants to convey is that the banner already said Special Olympics, but the smiling faces of the 9 winners who were holding gold medals in their hand complemented to the banner. Means the event actually was made special by the action they did. This never happens usually, that somebody gives up his or her chance of winning just to help some other co-participant. So these participants, they actually did help their brother because they understood the meaning of what dreams meant, because they all were sailing in the same boat. And that is why their smiling faces, their gesture, it actually conveys what the Special Olympics, the banner wanted to say. The banner could not have conveyed it because it was just written Special Olympics, but their action, what they did for the brother, for the young boy, actually displayed what Special Olympic means. And that is what the poet wants to convey in this entire poem, which is actually in the form of a story. I hope you have understood the poem very well. Let's have a recap of it. The poem describes a great event of 100-meter dash organized for differently abled racers. Dash is a race, means there are several events organized in Special Olympics, but this poem specially focuses on the 100-meter race. The competitors and spectators were excited as it was the grand finale. As we have seen in the first paragraph that this is the last day of the Special Olympics event, and also the race is the final event of that particular day. So it is called as the grand finale. The race began with the gunshot, but one of the 9 competitors stumbled and fell on the track at the start itself. In response to the racer's cry in pain, all the other 8 participants turned back to help him instead of completing the race. So this is what we have seen in the 3rd and 4th paragraph, that the race started, the young boy fell down, and instead of completing the race or moving towards the finish line, all the other participants came back and helped the young boy. They brought the little one to his feet and started walking towards the first line. The first line is the finish line, holding one another's hand. They were all declared winners and given a standing ovation for their great spirit of sportsmanship which they displayed. So as we saw in the last paragraph, they all were declared winners. Instead of awarding just 3 medals, they all the 9 participants were awarded gold medal each. So they did not lose, they won, and this was an unusual event and they received the standing ovation, and the meaning of Special Olympics was actually conveyed by their gesture, and the entire scenario and the values, the human values, the qualities, sportsmanship and all the positive thing were seen on their smiling faces. So my dear students, I hope you have understood this poem very well. Stay tuned with us on Zenith Academy online. Thank you.